Today we're going to create the abstract and just complete the introduction section of the essay. Remember, this is the outline, and as you recall, I mentioned that the outline is tremendously overwritten. And so I'm going to use part of this and take it from here and put it over into the abstract. To do that, I opened up that How to Write an Abstract page, which you also have, and I copied and pasted what I'm supposed to do for this step-by-step instruction. First, the motivation behind the study, and in that introduction that I had before in the outline, I'd gone into that I wanted to be cool. I'm going to take that out. I think we've got to be at a level of university discourse that is above, I wanted to be cool. So, but I did take some of that out and I put it here. In 1969, more than anything in the world, I wanted to be a hippie. I left that in. That was not easy in small-town Oklahoma, and the images of cool people on magazines, album covers, and TV shows were, I thought, unattainable. The only thing we had was music, a comfort. Dylan, the times they are a change, and music and lyrics became our tribal drum, a secret communication. And that's one of the quotes from one of the films. Okay, so that tells me the motivation behind this thing. And then a short statement, and that was the first of the short statements, this Goodman quote. And now the statement, against all odds, the Woodstock 1969 festival became an iconic symbol of peace, assembly, joyful music, and camaraderie in the hopes of creating a demonstration of peace and love. Now, 58 years later, there is no shortage of research material. That is coming up to this question. So we said the topic, the Dylan quote, then the methods are coming up. Now, 50 years later, there's no shortage of research material on the phenomenal success of a tragic catastrophe. For research, I turned to the film Woodstock, Michael Wadley, director, Woodstock interviews and documentary films, news footage and reports, first-hand accounts, qualitative tools including images and graphs, newspapers and legal reports, statistics of other concerts during the Summer of Love craze that lasted from 1967 to 1970, police and highway patrol reports. So that lets the reader know the methods of research. Okay, next, we did that. The actual results. What did the results reveal? And the results revealed some things on the earth plane and some things that are above the earth plane. So these are the sentences about what I found. That's after the reports and the things. I know many people who've come face to face with circumstances they didn't expect, found solutions in the moment, and found a place deep within that instructed their reactions. As John Fogerty of Creedence Clearwater Revival stated, with 500,000 people, there were no rules. The event rose to a higher frequency of mystical. This is where I'm going into the whole spirituality thing where we leave the earth plane and go there. Esoteric spirituality, where the mission statement of peace, love, and music rose above all the mayhem. It is the essence of this experience that might, I hope, inspire a generation to make changes through peace and music. Okay. There's a couple, now let's see how many words that is, because it's supposed to be no more than 250 words. So let's just have a quick look-see and see how many words this is. Over here, word count, 260. I already know where I can trim some of it, and that is this. Concerts, that's all I need there, right? So I took out a bunch of words there. And then this thing about I know, it does need to go back to the writer's intent. So I'm going to keep okay. All right. I'm going to keep that as is. I'm going to save it. And I'm going to move on. Okay, let's go on back over to the outline because it's time to get on to writing this essay. So, back to the outline. I'm going to take each, I don't want to copy all this. I'm just going to take this and I'm going to paste it into the rough draft. I'm going to take only this and paste it into the rough draft. And then we're going to take a look at it and see what we should do with all this overwritten information about the introduction. And those, my friends, are all those words. You can see how overwritten that is. Of course, the thesis statement and the transition statements are fine. We don't want to move those around. But here's the thing. I like sections, and I've talked with you about that in other tutorials. For long essays, I like sections. I don't ever want my reader to be curious or not know what to do or what's happening. So I'm going to create an introduction that is 2 or 3 paragraphs. And in the third paragraph, I'm going to put in the thesis statement, because there are 2 aspects of this essay. What happened on the ground, what happened in the marketing, what happened in the poster, what happened in this, that, and the other. Those are all measurable things that are events or that happened. But then the second part of the essay, which is my theory, all goes up into the power of mysticism. And so that's why I'm going to split it up. And I'm going to see what it looks like when I do that. So there it is in its long form. And I'm going to show you just a minute. I'm going to go ahead and create it. I'll come back and I'll show you how I did what I did. So this is the introduction. And because I'm doing sections and it's going to be a longer essay, I'm going to make the introduction as though it were a chapter. And there's my thesis statement right there. And then, of course, the transition sentence is here. And between each section of the outline, the rough draft, I have a little connector that connects it, a transition that connects it to the next little section. So let's look this over real quick, and that'll be it for this tutorial. I know people who don't think putting pictures in discursive essays is proper, and that's just fine for them. But you know, here's the thing. As a writer, as a scholar that you are going to be of your subject, it's up to you. There is nothing wrong with making a multiple paragraph introduction for a longer essay, not for a short essay, but for a longer essay. And we have 3 components to this essay. We have the signs of the time that were affecting the climate and the people. We have the actual marketing strategy of the visionaries, the 4 young men who put this together. And then we have a spiritual component that explains that which simply cannot be explained. So that's what I did. And the 3 images I included here are, I think that Sly and the Family Stone picture really kind of takes you to the, kind of spiritual side of things. Okay, so I'm just going to show you this because this is the rough draft. This is me taking the content from the outline and moving it over into an essay. And I highlight everything from the outline that I take. Why is it yellow and green? I don't know. It just shows it went someplace different. And so it's easy for me to come back here and see when I placed these sentences in the rough draft, was there something that I left out? That one we used. And I see that I did not use this little pearl, which is what an important part of the essay. This is where my theory comes in. So the whole point of the essay is the theory. So this is important that it go in that third paragraph. Well, shoot, a bug. I'll be right back. And I placed it right over here under the thesis statement and before the transition statement. So that makes this last paragraph in the introduction take us to the sociological event, and then to the anthropology, and then to my thesis statement, then to a statement of the spirituality, and then a nice transition to the next section, which is Sign of the Times. Sign of the Times. Okay? And that's where I leave it, because I will be coming back to read this all out loud and edit it later. Right now, while I'm on a roll, I need to get that outline placed into the rough draft. So, the introduction has stated why my statement of purpose, which was introduced in that abstract. And then I like to break up content with a little bit of a quote, and I think this one sums up the way the population of teenagers was moving towards a trend of sarcasm and questioning, and we're going to question no matter what. And I think those lyrics speak to that. And then, because that can't be the last word in a sentence, I have the next little sentence, which sort of is a transition into the rock festivals, which is leading up to Woodstock, which is going to happen right here. And so that I like. I like these pictures. I like the way they look. Just a little bit more prominent. See how it is when I have things side by side? I can really take a look and see if they all match color-wise. I had to let go of a lot of black and white pictures because they just simply didn't fit. And then there's the end of the introduction section. There is the statement of spirituality, which is the whole point of the exercise. And now, before we get into that, we indicate that an understanding of the elements that combine to create a bonanza of this magnitude requires an analysis of the sign of the times, the dream, and masterful marketing strategy. So, what's going to come in the next section? These three things. That's a transition sentence. Okay, we'll pick it up there next time, and that concludes this tutorial on the abstract and the introduction of the rough draft.